It's root 3, 5, 7, chromatic note, which means I can play anything I want, which is great. Take one. Hey guys, Scott here from scottsbasslessons.com, and today we are going to be looking at one of the most important things that we can ever work on as a bass player to get our bass playing to that next level, and that is walking bass lines, because it does two things. It really helps us understand how chords are constructed so we can play, you know, around the neck and play all of the chord tones, but in a really musical and practical way, not just running arpeggios up and down the neck, okay? So it gives us a really great understanding of how to do that over the neck, but it also really helps us navigate around the neck as well, so we can see, you know, going from one chord to the next chord, and then, you know, and through all of the chords and how they link up. So it's really, really important. And if you were to come to me and say, what's the number one thing I can work on to really get my understanding of chords and harmony and in a practical way to the next level, I would say focus on walking bass lines. It's going to be the number one thing that you can do, bar none. No matter whether you're a jazz player or not a jazz player, you can use walking bass lines as a tool to learn the instrument in a much better and deeper way. So with that said, I'm going to challenge myself to teach you how to play walking bass lines today in less than 5 minutes. And just to give you a little bit of context, the track that we'll be using today is around a jazz blues chord progression. Really fantastic progression that everybody should learn. What I'll make sure is that there's a link to a download down below in the information below this video, so you can get that download if you need it. So without further ado, here we go. How to play walking bass lines in less than 5 minutes. So first of all, we're going to start with root notes. It's super simple and it's a great exercise, especially for the beginner intermediate guys, just to make sure that you know where your root notes are. Let's do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So once you can play around that progression using only root notes, then it's time to look at roots and fifths. Now here's how you find a fifth, okay? Let's say this is the root, okay? If you want to find the fifth, you can go across a string and then up 1, 2, 3 frets. It gives you this shape. Or you can just go down a string to the lower string on the same fret. Now let's use that around this progression. This is only roots and fifths.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So once you've got your root and your roots and fifths down, then it's time to add in the thirds. Now to find a third, play the root note. Let's imagine this C here is the root note, and count up 3 notes of a major scale. 1, 2, 3. That's the third, okay? So that's a major third, root and third. Okay, so you can play the root now here, then across a string and down 4 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So if you play that root there, if you want to find the lower third, across the string and then 4 frets down. 1, 2, 3, open. Gives us that open E. We can play a root 3, 5. We can play a root 3, root 5, 3. Or we could play a 5, root 3. We can play them any way we want because we're just outlining the chords. So with that said, let's jump into this next example when we're going to play the same chord sequence, an F jazz blues, using roots, 3s and 5s to create the bass line.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now we're going to do the roots, the fifths, the thirds, and the sevenths. Okay, so this is the full seventh chord. So if we take a F dominant 7, we play the root, we play the third, we play the 5, and we play the flat 7. Okay, and we do that with all of the chords. Again, we don't need to play them in any particular order. We could play 3, 5, 7, root, 3, root, 5, 3, 7, root, anything, right? So let's get into it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now we're going to be doing the roots, the fifths, the thirds, the sevenths, and chromatic approach notes. So a chromatic approach note is where you approach a note chromatically. So if we were trying to approach this root note here, let's see, this is a C, a root of C, okay? We can approach it by a semitone. We could approach it by 2 semitones. We can even approach it by a 4 chromatic note run like that. We can also do it down. And we could do it to the third, to the fifth, to the 7, to the root, to the third, to the fifth, down to the 7. Okay, so with that said, let's jump into the next example when we're using all of it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So as I said at the top of this lesson, you can actually grab the backing track, and I really recommend that you do that. I'll make sure that there's a link below this video so you can grab that and practice this stuff. Walking bass lines are an amazing tool to help you understand harmony in a deeper way, how chords work, but also how to apply it to the fingerboard in a really practical way, instead of just kind of, running arpeggios aimlessly up and down the fingerboard. For what? Okay, we need to get into applying them. I do not care if you can play a 3-octave Mixolydian scale, okay, whatever it is. What about application? You've got to begin to apply this stuff, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do that below this video. And if you like this lesson, make sure that you click the like button as well. In fact, smash it. And if you want to know more about what we do at scottsbasslessons.com, go check that out. Essentially, it is the ultimate online bass school for bass players such as yourself to study with the best bass players in the world from the comfort of your own home. We've got the world's biggest and most awesome and coolest course library. And if you just want to dip your toe in the water, you can also grab the completely free SBL Bass Players Toolkit as well, which is also full of great educational video resources such as how to set up your bass, how to get a great bass tone, and all of the stuff that I take into consideration when I'm dialing in a bass tone. There's also a video series in there about how to master and understand the modes and how to apply them. A ton of stuff. So if you want to grab that, again, the link is below this video. Now, without further ado, take it easy and I'll see you in the shed.